Finally.
That's right, guys. The deck with the most powerful fusion spell ever just got more support. So without going deep into the deck itself, guys, this deck is really strong. I'll just start off with that. The support is very strong. The deck has always been strong, and with the greatest fusion spell that has ever existed in the history of the game, basically being inside of this archetype and then basically giving it a really hefty wave of support with a lot of these go first options, as well as cards like Void Barrier that are interesting but just not quite good enough, as well as cards like Void Blaze Up that I find absolutely interesting because, well, you can now mix Infernoid with stuff like Dark World, with stuff like Burning Abyss, and there's much more. It's just that's kind of the tip of the iceberg. Obviously, if you open up crazy stuff like Rhino Warrior alongside of a lot of that stuff, it's really strong. I do feel like DIABELLESTAR is going to be the popular version. If you do, you're going to see DIABELLESTAR everywhere, which is going to be its own issue by itself. But even in this deck, I don't know if it's the best version. I still feel like Layer might actually be better than the DIABELLESTAR stuff. But also the DIABELL stuff is really strong. It just opens up a lot of card advantage, a lot of the engine with Snake Eyes. And with that being said, I just really wanted to boil down the numbers. I definitely feel with this new stuff that definitely mixing in something like Sinful Snake Eye and all the Snake Eye support, and then also if you wanted to consider a lot of the other stuff, and we'll talk about that here in a second with a lot of these techs, there's a lot of engines that you can mix with Infernoids to absolutely make it pop. Dogmatica is most definitely one. I feel personally that Layer is still the best version, as crazy as that sounds, and with cards like Void Blaze Up that literally aren't limited to once per turn, that lines up a whole lot of shenanigans by itself. As well as going back into the deck, guys, I definitely feel like when you read some of these cards like the fusion spell Infernoid Evil, which you saw on the cover of this video, if this card is fusion summoned, you can banish one Infernoid monster from your graveyard and then send Infernoid monsters with different names from each other from your deck to your graveyard equal to the level of the banished monster that you just banished. So if you banish a Nunsu, you send 10 monsters, which is basically grass is greener. Shout out to grass is greener in case you forgot what it is. Anyways, guys, it's a much more organized Adamantipator style of effect and style of support. So without further ado, I definitely feel like a lot of this stuff is just, you know, you don't necessarily need a lot of the extra stuff, and I wouldn't want to play a whole lot of bricks, so I would start off like that. And I definitely would consider a card like Void Seer in the deck because being able to push through the evil every single time is really nuts. As far as some of the other stuff, we'll go over it in the combos. I definitely wanted to start off showing Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion by itself equals Diffusion. Diffusion by itself gets you a spell or trap card with Void in it. But you're just going to right here, link off the Link Haribo, and then basically get Infernoid Evil's effect to pop off to give you Void Banishment. Activate Void Banishment, get the trap card, flip the trap card, and there you have it. In case you guys may have been under a rock, our page has notoriously been attached to Infernoids. I have taught plenty of case tournaments, plenty of box tournaments, regionals, all kind of stuff, guys. This deck is a lot of gas in one direction, and now the deck can go in multiple directions. It doesn't just have to go second, it can most definitely go first and set up really strong boards. And basically for me, the fusion just equals more of Void Banishment and more of the trap card without you having to play the extra numbers. It's just more searchability. Absolutely insane. It definitely has another effect which we'll show here in a second. But that's basically the basics. I wanted to show off the PREDAPLANT stuff, and I'm like, why in the world was I showing that? Because the Scorpio, basically, I just wanted to show any kind of monster in your hand, doesn't really matter what it is. Gets you to the instant fusion, and then basically, you're just adding the Cherubini to the instant fusion that you would be able to open up every single time because of Scorpio, Orphis Scorpio. And so basically, being able to, with the Cherubini, dump a Rhino to then be able to jump. In my opinion, you would always dump the Anunsu, but I'm like, okay, what if you can't get to Anunsu? Like, Deviata, you're still milling 9. I still feel like that's really stupid. Because basically, when you get to target that card, you're going to mill that many, which is just really really, really ignorant. I also wanted to mention that maybe if you started off with the fusion maybe, and you attempted the effect and they stopped it some kind of way, and then you went into gravity controller, and then this card is sitting in your graveyard and you're like instant fusion, and then you target the Tiara, you're gonna send 11. So like, even if you don't land the void fusion, the void imagination, you're still going to land the void imagination, and probably it's going to be even worse. So like, Tiara is actually going to sink a little bit, and this card is absolutely going to go through the roof. And I've already seen a lot of the price hikes go all the way through the roof already. The void cards are already going up. I would highly recommend it because Infernoid is most definitely back to being meta. I would definitely say this stuff is going to be meta. But yeah, 10 names, guys. I absolutely busted. You know, I can go on and on. But basically, in pushing through to the rest of what the combo that you would want to do, Flood is the card I wanted to show as well. And it states if your opponent would special summon a monster, quick effect, you contribute 1 monster. Don't do what I did. I think in this video I actually forgot to put a tone down. Do not do that. You're gonna have to like find out the perfect number for names. Like, I'm playing 2 Sajet, and I'm playing a lot of stuff to make Baron almost every single hand with whatever mathematical equation that I can to get there. If you guys can feel where I'm coming from. So like, if Decatron can send the Sajet, then that's 7, and then you have a 3 with Harmodic. So I'm playing 2 a lot of these. You're gonna have to manipulate that and try a lot of this out, because you're gonna mill a lot of your deck quickly, and it's not necessarily gonna be that you draw the same bricks, which the deck has basically been fixed. As far as getting back into the point though, the link says if your opponent would special summon a monster, quick effect, you contribute 1 monster and negate the summon. So basically, Black Horn of Heaven on legs, it doesn't quite stop as many of the summons that you would want it to, like a warning, but this is still a really, really powerful effect. If a card is banished from your graveyard, you can banish 1 card on the field, which is really like Sovereign if you've ever been a Sword Soul player. And if this card is link summon card in its owner's possession or its control is destroyed by your opponent, you can special summon an Infernoid monster from your deck, ignoring the summoning condition. So basically, you can Heavy Storm or Dark Hole somebody out of thin air. I'm not even gonna say nothing. That's how stupid that is. So literally, you have multiple waves of support. This can turn into a Sovereign, which can help you like Heavy Storm, and then because you banish, you can wipe stuff out. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, unless I hear otherwise. The ratios are going to be the interesting part, what you're going to mix with. And as I said before, as much as I love Snake Eyes, and I definitely feel like Snake Eyes is going to be the #1 way to play it, but I actually want to cut down on the DIABELLESTAR stuff to play more layer, because you're going to want to have face-up cards on your field to be able to burn through some of these effects. And a lot of these effects are game-breaking. The last combo, guys, I just wanted to show DIABELLESTAR with an Infernoid, just to kind of show what in the world you would even do with this card. Basically, with the effect of DIABELLESTAR, you're going to get to the Sinful. I just wanted to show the quick play. The Hunter gets you to this gets you to this. So regardless, you're going to open up this. This is just less steps. Basically, being able to set Sinful Spoils, Snake Eye, you then would get to activate it, send in the DIABELLESTAR to then summon out Excel. Excel is going to get you to your first name, which is Decatron. You're going to normally summon Decatron and then send. For a Sajet, doesn't really matter. Like, the names for right now don't really matter. And then from there, you're going to send those 2 off to then summon out the next one, which would be Orc. And if you've never seen the Snake Eyes stuff, they basically connect all to each other. This one is going to send basically a card and a face-up card to then get to another one. This one is going to pretty much do the same thing, except yank one back onto the field, kind of like a seer style of effect. Something was going on with my mouse. Pardon me, guys. And then basically you're sending another name with the next Decatron that you just looped back on and off of the field, which is another really, really stupid thing. From there, guys, again, you're banishing 2 to then summon back. And then from there, you're going with the +1. The Pyramides was a 2, made the Decatron a 2. With the Sajet makes it an 8. You have Baron place. You have Baron access. Even if you can't get there with the Infernoids, which you'll be able to a lot of the times because of the way that at least I'm playing it, I definitely feel like playing this is probably going to be the future of the deck, which just totally changes the entire dynamic of how Infernoids has ever been played. Basically, from there, though, going into Flamberge Dragon by being able to pull it out of your deck by sending 2 cards, just like the Snake Eye stuff always does. You really have a really powerful setup, but for me, I feel like you're going to want to float even further by going into the Proxy F Magician. Proxy F Magician is the card that I actually found on Reddit, and talking with a lot of other Infernoid players. This is like the perfect card because if you just have leftover Infernoid names or you're about to go into a long, powerful combo, Proxy F Magician is like the perfect card for when you're trying to think of tech stuff. Like, genuinely, it's a really silly card. Anyways, guys, with the Flamberge, you're basically floating into 2 more names, and with those 2 names, any 2 names that you're pulling out of the graveyard, the 2 level ones, obviously off the Flamberge, the Proxy is basically going to help you make the fusion. The Decatron is going to send more names, and you're gonna just continuously load up your graveyard repeatedly, which is just absolutely ignorant. Then you're going to use those 2, fuse those 2, because Infernoid Evil takes 2 Infernoid monsters. There you have it. And pretty much, guys, from there, you're just going to continue by banishing one of the names. Whichever one you target, you send that mini to the grave. Then basically you're ending off with the same kind of board, Infernoid Flood, a Deviati, and then you're flipping into the trap card, which means an entire board full, and that's with 1 or 2 cards in your hand. Guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. You guys know how much I love this deck. You know how I have smacked people way out of its format, and I definitely am looking forward to a lot of this support. Again, DIABELLESTAR probably isn't even the best version, which is insane because DIABELLESTAR is really powerful. Layer is probably still the most powerful. It's going to take a lot of testing. Happy dueling. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Pegasus out. Arrivederci. Ciao, bello.